All right, we got this 2013 Kia Sorento with the 3.5 liter V6. This one has the automatic transmission. I think they only come with one transmission. I forget the, it's the A6LF2. That's the transaxle type. Sorry, this one's actually for a different Sorento. This is the one here. So they actually, there's all the information about the transmission, and we're just going to be doing a drain and fill on it today. We're not actually replacing a filter or anything, but we just want to pull the fluid out and fill it up with fresh fluid. So there's going to be a bunch that gets trapped in the torque converter, so you're not going to be able to get it all out, but I'm sure we can at least replace like 2 or 3 liters. I'm not exactly sure how much is going to come out, but we're going to find out. So first thing you need to know is down there, let's see if I can point to it for you, but underneath of this wiring harness, there's a plug right there that has a, looks like a 3/8 drive on top of it. That is our fill plug, and then I'll lift it up. So this thing doesn't actually have a dipstick. So what we're gonna have to do is drain it with the drain plug underneath, and then we gotta fill it up, run it till it gets up to a certain temperature, and there's a range between, you know, A and B of whatever the temperature is. I'll tell you in a second. And then we can pull a different plug that's the level plug, and the transmission fluid will drain out of that. And if nothing comes out, you need to add more. And if some is coming out, then you let it run out until it's just basically like dripping, and then that's good. All right, so I'm just gonna skim over these instructions for you. You can stop video at any time to read, but we got the eye bolt, which is our injection hole. It's our fill plug is what it is. You can see the transmission fluid type we need is SP4, 700 cc's. So it says start engine, confirm the temperature of the automatic transmission oil temperature sensor is 50 to 60 degrees Celsius or 122 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. With the GDS is like Hyundai's scan tool. So they want you to use a scan tool to check the temperature sensor reading. And then shift the shift lever from park to drive and drive to park. Repeat it one more time on idle. Lift the vehicle up, remove the oil plug from the valve body cover. Now this is the level plug. So this procedure is how to check the fluid level, but it's pretty much, we're gonna be doing this once we fill the fluid up, then we basically do this. So you can see this is the side of the transmission facing forwards, I believe. Actually, no, this will be in the wheel well. Pretty sure it's in the wheel well. I don't know, we're gonna find out. It's either in the wheel well or facing towards the radiator. Obviously, the vehicle has to be horizontal. I don't know who would do that, like vertical or on a hill. Like, don't do that. If the oil flows out of the overflow plug in a thin, steady stream, the oil level is correct. Then finish the procedure and tighten the oil plug. Couple notes. The oil level plug torque right there, and then lower the vehicle, tighten the eye bolt, which is your fill plug. That's pretty much it. There's our drain plug on the bottom. So we're gonna get this thing up in the air. There's the torque for the drain plug, and there's a gasket as well that goes with the drain plug. Now it does say fill the oil about 5 liters when we go to drain this thing. I'm going to measure how much comes out to see, and then I'm curious to see if actually like 5 liters comes out or what. So I grabbed like 10 liters just to be safe, but let's get this thing up and drain it. Okay, so I'm taking the fill plug out right now for 2 reasons. 1, I want to make sure that it's going to come out, and 2, it may help the transmission breathe a little better. There is a breather vent, so technically it shouldn't really matter, but I just want to get this thing out so that we can let it drain out easier. So there it is. You can see we've got, I don't know if that has a little gasket. It's just a rubber ring, O-ring that's around there. So that's it. Let's get this thing up. Okay, so we've got a couple clips. There's 4 of them. We need to take these off. And also there's 12mm bolts here, 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 here. One there and one here. And the shield's gonna come off. And that'll give us access to the front pan. It's a plastic pan. I have to get a trim tool. These things are finicky. Okay. So now we've got access to, there's our drain plug, and there's the oil check plug there. So that pan, the plastic pan, is on the front of the transmission, not the wheel well side. Looks like we've got a 24mm drain plug, I'm gonna say. And I've just got this graduated cylinder that's got measurements on the side, so we're gonna use that to catch our fluid and see how much comes out. All right, so we got the snap-on 24 regular size. I guess you could say it's a shallow socket, but we got to use this oil filter wrench one because it's even more shallow. And Kia put the drain plug bolt like right against the subframe, so if you had like a deep socket, there's no way you're getting it on there, which sucks. Sucks a lot. Okay. I'm gonna go grab the funnel so we don't make a mess. Nice, that looks gross. All right. There's our plug. Sorry, this thing fell into the funnel, which was kind of dirty. But we can see we've got a bunch of metallic clutch material. So fun backstory with this thing. The shifter cable bushing seized that's supposed to pivot. It's the piece that goes onto the shift shaft of the transmission. So it was having a tough time staying in drive. The cable wouldn't really sit where it was supposed to sit, so you put it in drive and it would slip into neutral. So if you didn't hold the shifter in drive while you're driving down the road, it would just slip out of drive, which is not good for the not good for all the clutches and bands and stuff inside the transmission when you're accelerating down the highway and it's going in and out of neutral or out of drive. So probably a decent amount of wear and tear. There was sort of a little bit of shiftability issues, drivability issues with this thing. It would almost needed like a transmission relearn where it could computer could learn the clutch tolerances because things are worn down, and improve the shift quality. So I don't know if Kia and Hyundai actually do that. Dodge does that, and works out pretty good sometimes. So this fluid, normally you could stick a light on the backside and see through it, and you can't see anything. So extremely dirty. Should it get a filter? Yeah, it probably should get a filter. Is it gonna get a filter? Nah, it's my vehicle, so. Yeah, we got it all cleaned up there. I think I'm pretty happy with how much has come out of it now. So we're right at about 3.5 liters. So now we're going to install our plug back in there. You can see the gasket there. And it's not getting a new one of those either, but I recommend you put a new one in if you're doing one of these for your own vehicle or whatever. So make sure you put a new one in there, and we'll get this thing in and torque it up. All right, we're gonna torque this down to 32 foot-pounds. That's the spec. And we'll give that a little clean with some brake cleaner and a rag. Then we're ready to lower the car down and add some fluid. All right, so we're using CarQuest brand MVLV. This is like a multi-vehicle automatic transmission fluid, and it says on the back all the specifications of what it's good for. And somewhere in there down here, I forget exactly where, but it does have the spec, which is our whatever it is, I forget something. I said it in the beginning of the video. Anyhow, yeah, SP 1234. So, and this is a SP4. So let's it needs 3.5. So actually, I'm just gonna measure it out in that graduated cylinder first. Look how nice and red that is. This might be a slow, tedious process. It's got to get poured in slow anyways, because yeah, this is gonna make a mess. We're just gonna try it anyways. All right, so this is gonna be really annoying. We have to go super slow because the transmission only accepts fluid, like so much fluid at a time, right? Otherwise it backs up and it overflows. If we had some sort of a threaded adapter or something that we could like thread into the top of the transmission, then it'd be fine. But because it's just sitting in there, the fluid just comes back up and leaks out around where the funnel goes in. So this is the most ridiculous transmission I've ever had to fill up, just because the tranny doesn't accept fluid very quickly, so you have to take your time. That took like 15 minutes to fill it. Yeah, 3.5 liters, 15 minutes. Get out of here. All right, so I'm just mopping up all the transmission fluid that spilled over the top, and then we're gonna put this back in, and I'll give you a torque spec for that. What a mess. Yeah, so words of advice, go really slow. And I even had to like just pour a little bit in for like 3 seconds and then stop, and you hear it glug, glug, glug as it works its way through the passages into the transmission pan or wherever the hell it goes. So I just want to wash this off so that everything's nice and clean. And then the next step would be to start the vehicle, and we'd have to run it. Now I get why we have to run it and get up to temp, but I get why they want you to put 5 liters in. Like I say, we only pulled like 3.5 out, but they want you to have extra in there, a little bit extra, so that when you go to pull the level plug, some comes out until the level's perfect. Otherwise, you gotta shut the engine off and add some fluid. And the temperature probably wouldn't go down much, even though the fluid's kind of like room temperature, but might go down a little bit, so. All right, we're in our transmission. We can see our oil temperature. Now I'm just gonna cycle through to make sure that that is the transmission oil temperature. I wouldn't see why it would be the engine oil temperature, but we're at 21 degrees Fahrenheit, and we need to be at between 122 and 140. So it's gotta be like hot. And I ran into this before with a GMC Terrain, and they had you basically run it in second gear to get the RPMs up high and run it until it gets hot. We ran that thing like $4,000 for, what did we run it for, like 20 minutes. Yeah, it was hot. It was like hot. So it's kind of crazy, but that's what they want. I guess it's got to be up to temp. So yeah, that must be the oil temperature. So gonna have to run this thing. It's kind of crazy because like you got to run the transmission and you're not sure how much oil should be in there, but you got to wait for it to get up to temperature. And it's like, oh, what if you don't put enough in, or what if you put too much in? So we're just going to I think I'm going to put this up in the air and put it in drive and just run it. I'm fairly confident that we're almost bang on, so I'm just going to put it in drive, run on hoist, and try to get it up to temp. All right, so the data pid for our oil temperature was not updating, so I had to go out and then go back into it, and then it updated. It was stuck at 21 degrees for some reason, so now we're at 107. Just running this thing in the air, got it in second gear. Nothing crazy, just trying to get it up. So we're at 109 now. We'll get it up to 122, and then we will lift this thing up. And we want the engine running, but we want it in park. And then we'll pull that level plug. All right, that's a good sign. We got a little bit trickling out. That's pretty much what we want. You don't want a lot coming out, and you don't want nothing coming out. So I'm gonna say that was pretty much bang on. That little level plug is made out of plastic. It's got little ears on it, so be very gentle with it. Make sure it's clean before you try to take it off. And when you go to put it on, there's like a little detent that's built into the pan that those little arms like kind of rock and snap over into. So don't like tighten it on, it just like snaps into place. I'm going to clean this off, and then we're gonna lower this thing down, shut it off, and take it for a drive. So we got back from a drive, everything shifts good, went through all the gears, made sure, you know, reverse drive, did the manual, shifting through the gears, everything's smooth. So I'm very pleased with that. And then also did a secondary follow-up inspection to make sure that the plugs weren't leaking and that everything's clean and tidy. So that pretty much sums it up. If you have any questions, throw them in the comment section below. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. And hopefully you find this video helpful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Helps us more than you know. We'll catch you in the next one.